Hello, everybody, to another of Bren's fan fiction theater, and we continue this with chapter 3 and 4 of Housers by Titan Wolf. If you want to read it yourself and his other work, links in the description. Chapter 3. Oh, a capping we will go. Courage climbed out of the tent to find Russell cooking breakfast over the fire. Walking over and sitting down, the purple dog waited as the food cooked. Hearing a noise, he turned to see Bren run to see myself run by in a state of panic. There's no internet! I was supposed to look at low so no internet! It's only until tomorrow, you big baby, Russell. So called as he piled eggs, bacon, and sausage on the two plates. He handed one to Courage, and they both began eating. You'd think he's never been camping in the woods before, huh, Courage? Surprisingly, the last time I've been camping was... I think I was 12. The dog nodded, his mouth full of food. At the edge of the campsite, a large grizzly approached the trash can. Pulling the lid off, he held it like a tray and began pulling stuff out, placing it on the upturned lid. The smell of food reached his nose. And looking over, he saw the freshly cooked food Russell had made. Then he looked at the lid. On it was a fish, skeleton, moldy cheese, and a tin can. Tossing the lid away, he looked back towards the camp and began rubbing his paws together and licking his lips. As he prepared to make his way over, the bear was forced to dive into the bushes. Bren, everybody, I can't watch bootleg movies. This is inhumane. The bear peeked out from the bush and growled before standing up. Still hiding in the bush, Shiny made his way over, stopping ever so often to stop it and dropped down to remain hidden. Courage finished the plate and looked around for myself, but he didn't see me anywhere. But he did see a bush with hairy legs coming slowly towards Kinsley. And suddenly, hearing that sentence, a bush with hairy legs. I'm sorry, that is. Maybe this is my perverted mind thinking this, but that sounds kind of dirty. Yeah. Anyway, screaming, he jumped up and began waving his arms to Russell, who turned into a bush monster with hairy legs. Okay, that's something. I'm getting very bad images. Remember that scene from The Thing? Yeah, just imagine that, only a little low. Remember that, the chest with teeth on The Thing? Yeah, remember that? Just imagine that, but a little lower. Yeah. Anyway, looking over, Russell saw the bush. Good idea, Courage. Blueberries would make for some great pancakes. Said he patted Courage on the head and started off towards the bush. Courage grabbed the back of his shirt, trying in vain to stop him, but was dragged along. I'll pick the berries and you hold them, okay? Courage began to sweat bullets as Russell picked berries from the bush. In his mind, he imagined the bush eating Russell whole and laughing. A loud honking sound caught his attention. Looking towards Russell, he saw the tall boy holding a rather large berry and squeezing it, making a honking sound. Courage watched as Russell's arm started to rise as he held the berry, quickly revealing to be the nose of a rather large and angry grizzly bear. Meanwhile, the ship Eustace and Muriel were on at the moment was being shook by a giant squid. Inside the captain, Muriel was sipping a cup of tea, and Courage was reading the paper. A bit rough today, eh, Eustace? She asked, earning a grunt from her husband. I do hope the boys are okay. Lazy, good-for-nothing nephews, he mumbled. Good-for-nothing dead horse. Back in the woods, Russell released the bear's nose and took several steps back, as Courage cowered behind him, naturally. Don't worry, boy. I know exactly what to do. Turning around, he turned back to face the bear wearing Eustace's mask. Good. The bear only looked at Russell for a few seconds. Before whacking him with his paw, sending him flying back into a tree. Courage ran over and started yammering and waving his arms. Russell looked at him and laughed. I'm assuming that's why we laughed. Courage turned to see the bear making his way towards them. growling and looking very fierce. The tiny dog can only shake with fear. Meanwhile, with Bren, aka your handsome narrator, finally he came to a stop, and I found myself inside of a cave. Weird part was I had a couch, a 48-inch flat-screen TV, indoor air conditioning, a hot tub, and even a computer. I'm saved! I shouted. Running over, I sat down and logged onto the internet. How did I log on? I don't even know what the bear's password is. It's a cartoon. I mean, we're willing to accept that a bear can, a cave that obviously that's the bears has, internet access. I'm willing to buy anything at this point. Back with Russell and Courage, the two hugged each other as the bear came closer and closer, and they closed their eyes as he reared back his paw to strike. And then he sliced their guts open, doing terrible, horrible things that I can only describe as being super horrible. And I'm just kidding. He stopped when the bear just stopped when an alarm went off. The two opened their eyes to see the bear holding a something. Warning, warning, the cave has been breached. Didn't you hear me? Someone broke into your cave. Don't just stand there, stupid. Get going. Russell and Courage watched as the bear ran off into the woods. Soon, a scream filled the air as I ran out of the woods, the bear right behind me. Russell and Courage took off running, cleaning up and packing the camping stuff away in a blink of the eye. And before we all three jumped into the truck, drove up, and leaving the bear standing there, shaking a paw at him. Looking around, he saw that we'd forgotten the food. Licking his lips, the bears picked up the plate and walked off into the woods again. Next year, let's go to a video game tournament, Russell said. I agree. I definitely said I agree to that one. Courage then looked at us, and he pretty much laughed at the readers. All in all, a pretty decent chapter. I do like the security system. Let's face it, all caves should have a security system. Anyway, ding dong, the Wicked Witch is nowhere. For chapter 4. High above nowhere, a black speck could be seen circling. Upon inspection, you see it's an old and small and extremely ugly woman riding a broom. A.K.A. your mother. Oh, I could not resist. Her name was Killian Frog. She had stringy black hair and dressed in a black dress, a matching pointy black hat with purple and green striped socks and old buckle shoes. I can sense the orb of Orlok, she said, cackling just soon I will be the all-power. She was cut off by a flock of geese that flew by, knocking her off her broom. As she rapidly descended towards the ground, Killian pulled her forefinger and thumb to her lips and one more time. Whistle! Yeah, she whistled. I can't do it. I don't even know how you do that. Her broom snapped to attention and descended after her. Just as her hand grasped onto it, she hit the ground with a thud, leaving an outline of her and the broom in the ground. I will have that orb, she said, pulling herself out of the hole. Nothing will stop me. I will go and take it from a farmhouse. She looked at the farmhouse with the windmill, and a truck out front, and shrugged her shoulders. Could have been worse. Could be worse, she said, walking towards the front door. It could have been Salem, Massachusetts. Meanwhile, I was sitting in Muriel's rocking chair with a book in my hands. Surprisingly. Usually I have one of these in my hands. Courage sat on the floor in front of me, listening as I read. The sound got closer to where the girl was hiding. She could hear the heavy footfalls and deep breathing, I read, as Courage grabbed his ears and pulled them on him as he started to shake. A shadow creeped along the wall, and the monster got closer and closer. And then... I was cut off by a knock at the door, and Courage screamed and jumped up, wrapping himself around my head. So I pulled him off and walked to the door to see a witch. Give me what I have come for, she said, holding out her hand. What else? I pretty much just looked at her and before looking over at the calendar. April 15th. Okay. Here you go. Killian began to cackle as I turned back and around, and guess what I gave her? Some candy. What? She asked, looking up at me. Trick or treat, I said, shutting the door. Killian only looked at the candy in her hand before throwing on the ground and stamping on it. I won't be made a fool of, she said, before whistling for her broom. Like this. Whistle, whistle, whistle. Whistle, whistle, whistle. So Courage looked out the window to see Killian fly up over the farmhouse. Panicking, he ran upstairs to the attic and began typing quickly on the computer. So, which is bothering you, eh? It asked. Did you eat her gingerbread house and push her in the oven? Help, 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 help! Courage shouted before typing on the keyboard again. All right, all right. Have you tried dumping water on her? The computer asked. Courage stopped to think before a light bulb appeared over his head. Ding! That's the sound of a light bulb appearing. Ding! Meanwhile, downstairs, I sat back down and continued reading. I wonder how Aunt Muriel and Eustace are doing. I asked myself. Meanwhile, Eustace and Muriel were currently sitting in a large soup pot as knaves in large mess were dancing around them in a circle. Oonka, 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 oonka. Isn't this wonderful, Eustace? She asked. They're dancing for us. Yep, he replied as he turned the page of his newspaper. Okay, I gotta admit that. I could totally see that happening. Back in nowhere. Killian floated down into the attic window and peered inside. Perfect, she said, opening the window. No one is any the wiser. She climbed in, and the witch was sent flying by a large boxing glove punching her. Courage peeked out the window to see an outline of Killian on the chicken coop wall. Shutting the window, he began to quickly board it up. Began to quickly board it up. My bad. Killian kicked the door to the chicken coop open and stomped out, covered in eggs. That is the last straw, she muttered darkly. No more Mrs. Nice Witch. She's my neighbor. She knows how to make good gingerbread cookies. But no more Mrs. Nice Witch. Meanwhile, downstairs, Russell flopped down in Eustace's chair with a large sandwich. As he prepared to take the first bite, a rapid pounding at the door caused attention. I wonder who it is, he asked as he stood up and headed for the door. If it's a little girl dressed like a witch, I already gave her candy, I said, not looking up from my book. Russell opened the door, seeing an enraged witch holding a wand, cackling and back angrily. Give me what is mine, or I will turn you into a toad, she said. Sorry, we don't want any cookies, he said, slamming the door shut. He made it 3 steps. 1, 2, 3, before the door was blasted off its hinges, crashing into Russell, who crashed into me. Ooh, we both crashed into the wall. Killian floated into the room. Dark energy from her wand was causing her hair to fizz out of control. Her eyes glue red. Russell just looked at her and rolled his eyes. All right, I'll buy some cookies. Jeez, I'll take 3 boxes of chocolate. Hey, Bren, you want any? I'll take 5 boxes of pecan sandies, I said, as we both fished in our pockets and held out money. You dare mock me? Killian roared, raising her wand. Okay, we'll also take 4 boxes of... Courage came downstairs just as Killian fired a bolt of energy that covered the 2 in a flash of light. When it vanished, 2 frogs with distinctive haircuts remained. Courage screamed shrilly, causing several windows to break, before he himself cracked and fell into pieces. Killian turned and grinned evilly at him. Give me the orb of Orlok, or fate becoming a toad as well. Courage shook his head before diving for cover to avoid a beam of energy that transforms Eustace's chair into a mouse. I mean, not a mouse, a moose. Well, in the next spot, Courage dodged another blast. So that changed Muriel's rocker into an ostrich. Jumping, the pink dog narrowly escaped the third shot that hit Russell and me. Changing without back. How convenient. Well, with his back to the wall, Courage began a swept bullet as Killian approached and raised her one. So long, Mutt, she exclaimed, firing, but just before the blast hit, Courage pulled out a mirror and reflected a blast back. Killian was engulfed in a flash, and when it vanished, there was only a toad wearing a witch's hat. Ribbit! Courage walked over and picked the toad up and carried it outside. Dropping it on the ground, he went back, shutting the door behind him. Killian scowled and looked to find a large bullfrog. The bullfrog grinned and pulled out a bouquet of dead flowers, and several hearts appeared over his head. Well, that's the last we'll see of her, Courage, Russell said as Courage looked out the window to see Killian hopping frantically away from the large bullfrog chasing her. Oh yeah, come see what I found in the basement. Following him into the kitchen, me and Courage looked to see a large clear ball sitting on the kitchen table. Picking it up, I looked into it as several ghosts floating by, wailing loudly. I mean, what else would they do? You found this in the basement, he asked as he passed it to Courage. Yeah, I found it in a box wrapped in chains with a bunch of spooky pictures on it, Russell said. Courage looked at the box, looked into the ball as the ghost stopped and looked at him. Stupid dog, it wailed. Before Courage looked at the readers and laughed. I gotta say, that was a funnier. I think this is a funnier chapter, if only because this literally could happen. This seriously feels like a real more like a real episode that could happen. Anyway, if you want, like, subscribe, let me know what you thought. I'll probably do the next ones later. Russell, I recommend you actually write some more, because I'm only going to do 2 chapters each episode. I ain't going to do an extra one. There's only 7 chapters in this. Yeah, you see the problem. As always, I'm Bren Tenkage, and yeah, I'll see you later.